Okay, now let's put our pineapple into our pan. And let's add our sugar. Then we'll add our cinnamon stick. And now let's move on to our next. Okay, now let's pour our water into our bowl. And now let's add our cornstarch, just like this. Now we're going to whisk this together with a fork, just like this. Now let's move on to our next step. Okay, now let's add our water and cornstarch mixture to our pineapple mixture. And now let's stir it together just like this. And we're going to cook this for another 10 minutes. Now that our pie filling has thickened, we're going to let it cook for another 5 minutes. Okay, now that it has cooked, we will turn off our heat, and now let's remove our cinnamon stick. Now let's move on to our next. Okay, now let's preheat our oven to 350 degrees. Okay, now let's pour our pie filling into our pie crust. This is the same pie crust from my simple homemade pie crust recipe. So now let's add our filling, just like this. And now let's move on to our next step. Okay, now we are going to put our top on top of our pie, just like this. We're going to take it over here. We're going to set this on top of our pie. Then we're going to fold this back this way. We're going to fold it this way. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our knife. We're going to do with the back side, and we're going to cut it just like this. Now let's move on to our next step. Okay, now let's take a fork and go all the way around the edge, just like this. Okay, now let's poke a few holes for venting. Just like that. Now let's move on to our next step. Okay, now let's take our aluminum foil and wrap it around the edges so the edges do not burn. Just like this. And go all the way around with it, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, now let's bake our pie at 350 degrees for 50 to 60 minutes. And I'll show you the finished product. Okay, now we are going to remove our aluminum foil off of our pie crust. And now we're going to let it cook for another 5 minutes. This is our finished product.